Welcome to Disembodied Screams. Spoilers, possibly, maybe. Proceed with caution. You've been warned. With all that said, let's get started, and let's start with this. A beautiful woman, nearly naked, goes for a swim. Still with me? While swimming, a shark shows up around time of Jaws mania, so of course you got to have a shark in the movie. She escapes and goes to the surface, warns her friends in the boat, and then goes back down to hide. Okay? Then, as she is hiding, a zombie arrives and attacks her. She fends it off with a piece of coral rubbed in its face and then escapes. She has now avoided a shark and a zombie, all while wearing no top and the thinnest of bottoms she could possibly find. Calmness ensues. Right? Right? Wrong. The shark decides it still needs some food, so it goes after the zombie, and then an epic fight ensues. Zombie versus shark. And in the end, not sure who truly won, but the zombie did manage to tear out a chunk of the shark, and he seemed pretty happy floating underwater, munching on that piece of shark. With that synopsis out of the way, are you still here? Have you checked out yet? If you haven't and you're still with me, then this movie is certainly for you, and it is certainly for me. I would have to say, of all the zombie movies I've seen in my lifetime, and I've seen a bunch, top five, easily for me. Top five. I love Fulci's Zombies so much. It's an amazing movie. More at the end of how many names this movie has. I think I owned it when it was Zombie, Zombie, not with the E on the end. So, anyways. Seen it multiple times, owned it, love it. And if you don't know who Lucio Fulci is, if you're into horror, you should definitely look him up. He's up there with Dario Argento and Mario Bava as being some of the kings of this giallo cinema, this B-movie horror giallo stuff. So he's a very important one in the horror genre. He knows how to make a movie look amazing on a very small budget. That's what my notes say. His shot selection is spot on. He knows how to move the camera to get the most out of each scene, get great wide open shots to capture the whole landscape, great close-ups to show you the gruesome gore. And speaking of gore, one of its biggest highlights is the gore. Blood is spilled often in this movie, sometimes relentlessly. I love those old school effects when they tear apart the skin and the skin looks all stretchy and goopy and caramelized. I just love that stuff. I love the look of the blood, that very rich red that just pops so much and is so vibrant on film. Love it. This movie also has an all-timer kill with the wood to the eyeball. When I think of this movie, if I don't think of the zombie naked shark woman fight going on, it's that scene that I come back to every time. It sticks with you, my notes say, quotation marks, pun intended, long after the scene concludes, and there's plenty of other dismemberment as well. The old zombie standards apply, guts pulled free, necks ripped open, arms and hands bitten, and all kinds of stuff destroyed. Punches are not pulled in the gore department. You see all the gruesome goodness in this movie. Another highlight, another thing I love in this movie is the score. I wish I could just score the episode with it. It's just so good. It's one of the all-time horror scores. It's up there with the anything Goblin did with Argento back in the day. I mean, it's that kind of next level. Amazing to listen to. Fits each scene perfectly. Fabio Frizzi was the man who composed it. And if my link works, I'm going to hop over to Wikipedia right quick and see if I can... Joy is doing stuff on camera. Okay, here we go. Link is now working. Fabio Frizzi was born in 1951. According to Wikipedia, filmography kind of goes like this. I'm not going to try to read the Italian ones. Zombie 2. This was called Zombie 2 when he did it. Contraband, City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, Manhattan Baby, Scorpion with Two Tails. That was Sergio Martino, not Lucio Fulci. The other ones were Fulci. Crime and Formula One, Bruno Garbucci. Blast Fighter, Lombardo Bava. So he's worked with some big names in the industry. Bava and Fulci. And I think the other guy I mentioned too. I've heard of Martino as well. So So that's just some of his filmography. Cat in the Brain from Lucio Fulci. Anything else from Fulci here? I like this title, The Cold Eyes of Death in 2013. Chris Milewski. I'm not sure who that is. All right, well, that kind of gives you just a little taste of what he's done. So he's worked a lot with Fulci, off and on throughout the years. Story, script, acting, you don't really tune in for any of that when you're watching a movie like this. If you do, you probably shouldn't be watching it. But it all works. It doesn't cause you to lose interest. Lots of dubbing. These old Italian giallo-style movies and movies from back in the day from Italy were always full of dubbing. So if you can't get into the dubbing, you might not enjoy the movie either. But it's passable and it's good enough, and it doesn't take me out because I'm not there truly for the story or the acting or anything like that. I'm there for the zombies, and I'm there for the gore, and I'm there for the score, and I get all that perfectly in this movie, and a beautiful location too. And speaking of zombies, I mean, I just love the look of these zombies. Lots of different styles and moldy flavors in these undead creatures. And they are the slow ones, which I think are more terrifying because you underestimate them, unlike the fast ones. When the fast ones run, you start running. And you probably can get away if you just keep your wits about you. But with slow zombies, you think, I got this. You stay chill. You stay calm, you gather your nerves, you watch the waves for a moment because this is a beautiful island, and you don't get too worked up. And then you realize you're surrounded. And then you're their next meal. That's why they scare me so much. They're just so unassuming. You don't see them coming because it's like, there's one little slow guy over here. I can handle this. And then you're like, there's 30, there's 40, there's 50, there's 60, there's 100. So you're pretty much screwed by that point in time. So I prefer the slow zombies. I think they add a little more fear to the movie than the fast ones. And speaking of zombies, just to keep elaborating on this point, one of my favorite moments in this whole movie is when that score starts vibing and those zombies start rising from the earth, and you get that POV of coming off of their faces. Those conquistadors are coming out of the ground. God, I love that scene so much. I just vibe into that score when it starts hitting those beats. It's so good. I could just heaping praise upon this movie, man. Often on and on and on and on, just praise upon praise upon praise. I truly love it. Like I said, top 5 zombie movie for me. All right, I'm gonna close it here with that part of the script and part of the episode, and let's move on to the haiku, and then I will close out the episode with some information about Zombie that you might find interesting that I also found on Wikipedia. All right, here's the haiku. Before I close, here are some interesting things about this movie I pulled from Wikipedia. Upon its release in the United Kingdom on January 2nd, 1980, the British Board of Film Classification required a total of 1 minute and 46 seconds of material to be cut in order to obtain an X rating. Its most recent home release on August 2005 passed for an 18 rating with no cuts required. However, the 1980 release found itself classified as a video nasty, the kind I like to watch, having been considered a breach of the Obscene Publications Act. This classification and the de facto ban it involved has subsequently been used for publicity when advertising future home video releases. Amazing how far we've come when this was a video nasty with an X rating back in the day. When you see The Walking Dead splashed all over everything these days. It's just funny how far we've come as a society. Zombie 2, moving on with Wikipedia, serves as a sequel to Zombie, a re-edited European release of George A. Romero's 1978 film Dawn of the Dead. Zombie had been edited by Dario Argento and given a new score by the Italian band Goblin, and proved successful upon its release in Italy. As Italian copyright law allows, any film... Let me read this one more time. Stumbling over my words this morning. Like I'm into this and I'm doing it, but I'm still stumbling over my words. I'm so surprised by it. Even read through the script beforehand to make sure I got it right. Just crazy stuff. As Italian copyright law allows, any film to be marketed as a sequel to another work. The film was quickly greenlit and financed. I'll have all this on the screen so you can read through it. Sorry about that. I think it's the way it's written is what's throwing me off. It's just very jumbly there. It doesn't read very well. And my notes also say, and how many titles can one movie have? Let's get into this part. Zombie 2, that's spelled Zombie 2, and I'll probably put the titles on the screen too so you can read along. Zombie 2 has also been released under the titles Sanguila, The Island of the Living Dead, Zombie Flesh Eaters, Zombie with an E, Zombie The Dead Walk Among Us, Gli Ultimi Zombie, Voodoo, La Inferior de Zombies, Zombie 2, The Dead Are Among Us, and Nightmare Island. So, like I said in my notes, might be a good idea to pick a title because in the days of streaming, it's hard to find a movie with that many titles. Google is like, they just boggles their mind. Okay, so what are your thoughts about Zombie? Fulci's best? If not, what is? Let me know that in the comments below. And be on the lookout for a new series I'm starting, dropping on Friday, October 31st. If you're watching this on Wednesday, I'm going to take a heavy metal album and through a series of horrific calculations, determine if it is indeed worthy to be considered a heavy metal horror album. Fulci is the first band I am covering, a band that took their name from Lucio Fulci, and they do concept albums based on his movies. Tropical Sun is the album I'm diving into, and it is based on the movie Zombie. So watch the movie Zombie, listen to the album Tropical Sun, and you will get a true treat. They match up so well together. Can't recommend it enough, but a word of warning, Fulci is one of those death metal bands, so it's a lot of guttural sounds. So if you can't get into guttural kind of metal, which I love and I really enjoy, I've gotten hard into like Cattle Decapitation, a big fan of Cattle Decapitation now. If you can't get into that kind of style of music, then Fulci may not be for you, but it does pair so well with this movie that I thought it'd be a perfect one for the Halloween season to match them together this week, Halloween week. And speaking of Halloween week, if you're celebrating Halloween, happy Halloween to you guys. All right, that's it. Sorry if I rambled a bit. Sorry if I stumbled through my words a bit. Just kind of get really excited about this movie, Zombie. I really, really do love it. One of my all-time favorites. All right, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Take care. Have a good one.